Who are the major characters in the novel? John Grimes, of course, is the protagonist. He's a 14-year-old boy whose inner conflict and the relationship with his family members form the crux of the novel. Now, who are these family members? John's stepfather, Gabriel, is the head deacon of the Temple of the Fire Baptized. That's the name of the church. Gabriel was wild and sinful in his younger days. At the age of 21, he has a spiritual awakening, a conversion experience, and he becomes a preacher. In a dream, God promised him that his descendants would bear his seal, just like it happened with the patriarchs in Christianity. Gabriel has anger issues and is abusive to his family. He had been previously married to Deborah, who died young and childless. While married to her, he had an illicit affair with Esther. She becomes pregnant but is rejected by Gabriel, who refuses to leave Deborah. When Esther tells him she is pregnant, he steals the money that Deborah had been saving and gives it to Esther. He sends her away, considering her a harlot and feeling repentant himself as he has committed adultery. Esther goes away and dies during childbirth. Her child with Gabriel is royal. He is like Gabriel. He is quite wild and uncontrolled. Royal dies in a knife fight at the hands of white men he had angered in Chicago. After Deborah dies, Gabriel marries Elizabeth. Elizabeth has a son from a previous relationship. This is John, our protagonist. So John is Gabriel's stepson. Gabriel's son by Elizabeth, Roy, is his new hope. Unfortunately, he too proves to be as wild as Gabriel. ചിലരുടെ റെഡിയാവും, ചിലരുടെ റെഡിയാവില്ല. Gabriel distrusts all white people and blames everyone but himself for his wrongdoings. Assured of his place as one doing the work of the Lord, he is nevertheless an abusive father and husband, embittered by the seeming failure of God to provide a son who would continue his work. Though John, his stepson, is obviously the son he has been promised, he despises John and thinks of him as the devil's child, the result of sin. John must bear the brunt of Gabriel's sublimated wrath and guilt. What about Elizabeth? John's mother, Elizabeth, led a sheltered life as a child until she met Richard, the non-church going sullen clerk who ends up falling in love with her. They essentially run away together. Shortly after becoming pregnant, Richard commits suicide. So Elizabeth has to fend for herself. She becomes friends with Florence, Gabriel's sister. She introduces her new friend Elizabeth to her wild brother Gabriel. Drawn to the protection Gabriel offers, Elizabeth marries him and becomes a long-suffering, patient woman. Gabriel, on the other hand, sees his acceptance of this vulnerable Elizabeth as an act of repentance for the sins he has committed in the past. He, however, feels Elizabeth has not fully repented for her sins and is harsh on John, who is the physical manifestation of Elizabeth's sins. Now, who is Aunt Florence? Florence is Gabriel's sister. She has hated Gabriel since his birth for taking away the opportunities for education and ambition she so strongly desired. After running away from her mother and brother, she marries Frank, who turns out to be a disappointment. After their marriage fails, Florence is left to fend for herself, which she does with fierce pride and dignity. She lost her respect for the church once Gabriel has his moment of conversion and becomes a preacher. So she absolutely despises her brother, whom she believes has taken up all her opportunities for progress. And once he becomes the preacher in this church, she actually rejects the church altogether. She keeps a close eye on the women he marries or has a relationship with, and defends them against Gabriel's abuse. By the time of the events of the book, she is hard and embittered by her life and angry from the incurable disease forcing her to come face to face with God before she dies. So she's suffering from some kind of illness and she knows that she's going to die. And so in the novel, we see her in the church attending the service. And Gabriel is kind of happy seeing that his sister, who detests the church, has finally come back, knowing fully well that she will only do that since she's having some issue she needs a solution for. So that's the major points about the characters.